Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome. We're at Bing Bong Trading for Beginners Part 6 with my buddy John here. He joined me last time, and you guys asked for him to come back. So thanks, John, for coming back. We appreciate having you here. If you guys haven't used Bing Bong before, make sure you check it out. I really like using the exchange, especially for scalping. The fees to market in and out are super cheap. So that's my go-to. Not only that, when you create an account, they actually load your account with virtual currency so you can practice trade because before you do anything, you should obviously be practicing before you waste your own money. I do have the chat here up on my screen, so if you guys have questions, feel free to ask. This is a live stream, so I'll try to get to your questions as much as possible. If you have to leave halfway through, it will be available for replay. But today's topic is going to be volume. How to understand volume, how to read volume, how to use volume for trading, confirmation, etc., etc., etc. So again, I thank you guys for joining, and let's get into it. So, volume. John, what do you know about volume so far, if anything?
Really only what you showed me last time, which isn't a whole lot. You told me you were looking for volume to confirm like a pattern.
Correct. Yep. So volume to confirm a breakout, right?
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good starting point because that builds off last time. So let's just go to trying to think if there's been any patterns lately in the market. Maybe AVAX actually. AVAX has been pretty bullish lately. So here's actually a very good example. So you see a lot of nice big volume coming in here. It's a very strong uptrend, right? A lot of buyers are interested here. Then you've got a consolidation. So let's get my parallel channels here. So we've got this consolidation here. Bam. All right. And in consolidation, you're going to expect volume to drop off because that's what happens. People lose interest. People that were buying here are just holding, and people that want to buy on a breakout are waiting. So volume's naturally going to drop here as people reaccumulate for a price to go higher. So what are we waiting for? Well, we don't want to buy these rejections here. We don't want to buy a resistance, right? And that's for the last video. But anyway, so we're waiting for a breakout. And you see here, right here, not only did we close above this consolidation, which makes this what kind of pattern?
Descending, I don't know.
So it is this. So this is a descending channel, correct? And descending channels are usually bullish continuation patterns. All right. If you remember seeing the other videos, you remember there's continuation and reversal patterns. So this is definitely a continuation pattern. It's a bull flag. All right. So you've got your bull pull here. Nice bullish move, bull flag, and then your breakout would target the length of the pull. So right here, we'd be looking at about $84 target, all right? But not only that, we have this breakout. So this breakout partially confirms a bullish pattern here, right? Because the market doesn't always go up. It could have just broken down and died here. And if this would have closed below here, it would have been a breakdown, right? So we've broken above, but what is one thing you notice? So this is a nice strong candle, right? And it closed above. Is there anything else you notice?
The volume supporting it.
Look at that volume. Not only is that high volume, that is the highest volume on the chart right now. So that is a high volume breakout. And the reason you want a high volume breakout is because you want the market to confirm this is a pattern and this is a resistance. And at resistance, there should be a lot of people selling, right? Because it's a resistance. So you're going to have big sell walls there. You're going to have a lot of people selling there. And you need strong buyers to bust through that and say, all right, the market wants to break this. The market realized that this was a flag and it broke out that resistance. And now we had a lot of buyers come in there. And why would they sell, right? So these buyers that all came in here on this high volume, there's no reason for any of them to sell because none of them are underwater. All right. So we're acknowledging that. That's a pattern. We're acknowledging that was a big resistance. We had a heavy bust through that. You don't want a weak bust through because if you if you fill your car with just enough gas to make it halfway up the hill and you run out of gas, what's going to happen? You're going to fall back down. So you want full gas, full foot on the floor, bust through that, and then continue momentum to get up over that hill. All right, and then once you get up the hill, you can keep going because you have enough gas to make it there. I don't know if that's a good analogy.
Makes sense.
But that's kind of how I think about it. So this is the absolute highest volume on the chart. That is huge. So basically, as long as price stays above here, we're feeling good about it anyway. All right. Now, if price gets below this high volume area, you're going to be in a lot of trouble because that is a lot of people that are going to probably want to sell their bags underwater if they break down, right? So that's why this volume and this candle is of utmost importance. And not only that, you see that we actually broke down, retested that, and now we're continuing up again and just made a new high. And actually a new all-time high even. All right, so that's a huge signal. If this was on Coinbase Pro, because I trade on Coinbase Pro, I would have bought a shit ton down here. I think it's only on Binance. I don't know where else it's at. But anyway, so I couldn't buy this because it wasn't on Coinbase, and that's where I keep a lot of my funds right now after Binance kicked everyone off. So to anybody that's still holding this, congratulations, because it looks very likely. Again, we have some nice strong volume coming in. Looks very likely to continue higher here. So anytime you want to confirm a pattern, you want to see high volume. It's exactly what we saw here. That's a great sign. That's pretty much as straightforward as it gets, though. Do you have questions about that?
No, I mean, that one is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, super straightforward. This is a beautiful chart. Great for learning. Now, obviously, we see this high volume breakdown here.
Yeah, that was where, like, as a newer trader, I'd be like, oh shit.
Yeah,
it's all going downhill.
So what you see here is kind of a high volume rejection, right? But it's so the concerning thing for me would be if I saw this kind of volume, this low volume here on the breakout, and then a very high volume rejection, because that would tell me that there wasn't a lot of strength here, and then all the strength came in here, people waiting to sell.
Okay.
And when that happens, you're likely going to see a drop. All right.
So if you could just kind of like show what the volume bars would look like in that circumstance, so I can kind of get a better idea.
So I'm trying to think if there's somewhere I could show.
Well, I mean, you can just draw it. Literally, just draw it, or draw what you're saying.
So if you saw these here, okay, like these two low volumes, if that was on the breakout, and then you had this high volume here at the top,
was a sell.
That's where you'd be concerned.
Gotcha.
And it doesn't have to be red, but just the fact that we had low volume breakout and then a high volume kind of up top here.
Peaking it with high
would
volume.
likely see us go lower. And I'm trying to think if there's a chart that we have that on recently. I know I've seen this before in places. I'm just trying to think if I've seen it on any crypto lately. Maybe a link. Maybe we had this on Link a while ago. And I would love to show you an example if I can find it. We kind of had it here. I would prefer a very clean example. Let's see. Again, here we have this breakdown, or we have this breakout, consolidation, and then look at the volume that starts to come in here. Just nice increasing volume.
Yeah.
See that? That's really good volume. That's a nice strong move. So let's see if we can find that example I was talking about. Maybe same but different. Let's see. So, and again, you guys, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Let's just assume this is about the same, which it kind of is. So we have this up move with some nice volume, right? And then we have a breakout here. And what do you notice?
Yeah, volume's low.
Yeah, look at that low volume. How do I hide these things? Oh well. Low volume, right?
Setting.
Yeah, I think there probably is a setting. But anyway, so really low volume, right, on this breakout. So does that have me concerned? Do I feel good about this, right?
Yeah, for sure concerning. And then where's that high volume?
Where's the high volume? Exactly. So the high volume is right here.
Yeah. Okay? at the peak.
At basically the top. So you get this low volume here, which the market's saying, we don't really care about this breakout.
Yeah.
Right? The market's like, oh, we broke out. Yay. Push. Like this resistance was Cheetos. You know, have you seen the door meme where it's like a Cheeto in the lock and you just open the door because it's Cheeto? No. Anyway.
That sounds funny.
So basically this is like non-resist. There wasn't much resistance here. There wasn't much market interest here. And it was too easy for buyers to get through. And there wasn't very many buyers. Yeah. So we go up and what happens? People FOMO. This is all FOMO volume, basically. People FOMO'd up here and they're like, and they're like, oh shit, we gotta buy. Price is still going up. And then what happens? High volume comes in, and the high volume is big players selling and unloading their bags.
Yeah.
So the whales are unloading their bags up here on everyone that's FOMO buying. These are small candles on high volume, right? Like these are really pretty small candles, a lot of volume. And you see what happens here.
Because it's being compressed from selling and...
Because it's a small candle, because there's so many people selling into the buyers here. Exactly. Yeah. So you're going to see, like, this is a good sign, right, of weakness. Even though people say, oh, that's a lower wick, that's a lot of strength. There was a lot of turmoil here. A lot of people were ready to sell here. Granted, a lot of people were ready to buy. But then again, we have a lot of people still selling here and price not moving very much.
Right.
And then you see here what happens. Look at the volume here. It starts to turn from buy volume to sell volume. You start to see a lot of sell volume here, and not only that, but increasing sell volume. Right. And look at this. We've got, bam, just a nice influx of sell volume.
Yep.
So, and we eventually fall over, we roll over, and we die because there was no volume on this breakout. So, I think that's actually a really good example.
Yeah, it seems perfect.
So yeah, any questions about that?
Not from me.
Cool. Not only that, but actually I think we reached our target as well. So I don't know. Actually, I feel like the impulse starts from here. So this is probably how I draw my flagpole if this is a bull flag. And then that would be about your target. So reach target perfectly. And then at the top, what kind of candle is this? Do you remember this from our last lesson?
What candle?
This red one.
Oh.
Or blue. Who knows what kind of candle this is? I wish we weren't. We're like 5 or 6 seconds delayed, I think. So. Good example. Got it. Thanks. Ooh, we have 100 people on. That's awesome. Thanks for joining, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
That's great. All right. Who knows what candle this is up here? And if you don't know, make sure you check out my previous video of, I think it was actually number 1, Trading for Beginners #1 in the series on my YouTube of understanding candlesticks. So Ethan, winner, ding, ding, ding. That is a bearish engulfing candle. So not only do you have high volume here, high volume selling coming in at the top and buying because this is FOMO, right? Because if you panic sold down here, your link, and you see it start to go up, you might be like, oh, I should buy, but it's low volume, it's going slow, it's not moving very fast, oh, it's going to pull back. And then here it starts going up fast, and you see a lot of buyers come in. You're like, gotta buy, I gotta buy. And then everyone jumps on your ass. Okay? The bearish engulfing. Yes, thank you guys. Good job. Crow. I don't know what that is. Somebody asked how I identify where the impulse starts. Well, the reason I identify that is because this is all just choppy consolidation. The impulse started right here, right? This is where we actually impulsed up. This was just all choppy sideways crap. The up impulse was there. So that's how I define that.
So impulse just means price change?
I just say impulse as like an impulsive move, like a quick move.
Okay.
So like this is not impulsive.
Mm-hmm.
This is impulsive.
Gotcha.
This is just chop, and then you get a quick impulsive move here.
Gotcha.
And then impulsive move down.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Okay. So if you are looking to short or offload your bags or whatever, if you're long, if you're buying spot bags or you're long or whatever, and you don't know what to do up here, you're starting to get subtle clues. But then the big clue is here, this bearish engulfing candle. Not only that, you probably have like a fake breakout here.
Do you care about the wick on the bearish engulfing?
Only to the fact that it engulfs the other wick to technically be a bearish engulfing candle.
Oh, engulfs what wick?
the wick of the candle before.
Okay, gotcha.
And again, make sure you watch my first video because I don't think you have yet.
No.
You were in on last video, but you should definitely watch my first videos because that will answer your questions like that. So, but yeah, so then after that breakout, you're reading that volume, and then you have this high volume. Again, look at that volume. So you have this kind of okay volume green candle, right? Which is pretty awesome and makes people bullish.
Right.
And then you have this higher volume bearish engulfing candle.
Yeah.
And so how I think about volume, you guys, is a push and a pull, right? Or like a scale. Like here's your buy volume, here's your sell volume. Which one's heavier? Which one's stronger? So you're playing tug of war between buyers and sellers.
Yeah.
Well, if you have a tug of war right here, who wins? Who just won that tug of war?
Sellers.
The sellers won that tug of war, right? And that's how I think about it. So up here, okay, buying volume, sellers came in, we're like, nope, way more sellers here. That's a lot of sellers. It's a lot of volume on selling. It's a bearish engulfing candle, and bam, we go down.
Yeah.
Now, if it was a low volume sell-off candle, I would consider that it maybe actually was okay, right?
So if the candle looked the same, or is that even possible for the candle to look the same and be low volume?
It is. Okay. Yeah. You just have less sellers, right? The candle can look whatever it wants to and have however much volume. It just depends on how much action was actually in that candle.
Gotcha.
So let me read. I got a couple questions here. I'm having same problems with taking profits. Sometimes I won't get to my target and go all back, and I'm losing then. When I'm trying to trail stop loss, it stops me out and move up more. I do have an answer for that. I actually made a video about taking profits. So make sure you go check that out. It's on my YouTube. It is under the Prime XBT leverage trading series. Okay. It is literally on taking profits, and it talks about how to trail stop losses, how to ladder out on your profits, and things like that to avoid missing out on profits. It's a very good question, but kind of a little off topic for this video. But again, I did make a video for that, so I highly recommend checking it out. I think it was about 10 to 15 minutes. So, all right, let's see. Somebody's asking about sushi, volume analysis. So I'll answer a couple of your questions, and then we'll look at, I'll get some more explanations going. So, and I'm just on a daily chart right now. And so, yeah, we basically see a similar pattern on sushi. So where is my parallel channel? Okay, so you have this here, and it's not as clear of a channel, but maybe something like this. So do we have high volume breakout here? What do you guys think?
I'd say not really, but sorta.
Why not really?
It's not really that much higher than everything around it.
You don't think? I mean, it's literally the highest volume since...
Oh, I guess it is day, huh?
Since here. It's the highest volume since July 6th, so in the last 3 months.
So I guess that's actually kind of high then.
Yeah. So don't look at this volume. Okay, this doesn't really matter anymore. This is like 4 or 5 months ago.
Gotcha.
Look more locally.
Yeah.
All right. And not only, I mean, I just see a ton of buying volume here anyway. Right? Like, look at all this buying volume. We have one sell volume. And not only do we have only basically like one sell volume candle, look at what happened. We actually reclaimed here. Right? So we reclaimed above that. So remember when I talked about people, if we break below a candle and those people selling their underwater bags? What happens if a lot of panic sellers are here? What happens if price breaks above that?
Panic buyers.
They panic buy higher. Exactly. So let's say this person bought at $13.75 and then they got underwater at $11.80 and they panic sold, and then a lot of people panic sold. Well, as soon as price goes back above $11.80, at some point they have to panic buy back in, right? Most likely. Yeah. So they're either waiting. They're probably waiting because nobody buys back right away, right? You're always like, oh, it'll go down again. Oh, it's above where I bought. It'll go down again.
Right.
But that's quick, and you're like, ah, shit. And then it drops here, and you're like, okay, it's going down. And then what happens? Immediately goes up, and then this is where everyone FOMO buys back in.
Exactly.
So that's all that volume now. All these people that just panic sold here, that just forced to buy back in higher, they're not going to sell now because they're like, I'm not selling.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, no, I'm not doing it again. I'm not selling.
Yeah.
If it drops, I'm not selling. So if it drops to here, they probably won't sell. It would probably have to drop way deep for them to sell at this point.
Yeah.
So we're probably okay. We probably go up. We did reclaim this breakdown, which again, from a push-pull standpoint, this is a heavy push this is a heavy tug-of-war from sellers, right?
Yeah.
Huge tug-of-war from sellers. What did buyers do? Huge tug-of-war back into buyers' territory.
Right.
So if you just put like a midline here, all right, and you just say, well, from here, all right, so this is going to be here. It's going to be our buyers strength, and sellers, okay? So you got buyers and sellers here. Well, we had buyers being pretty strong over here. So we've got buyers pulling and pulling and pulling. Well, sellers, oh wait, here, let me get, here we go. We'll just use this. All right, so over here, pretty much, like over here, buyers are pulling really hard, right? When we're over here, all right? And then we get back over here, and sellers try to take it back, but buyers are like, no, we're going, we got this, all right? Well, then we got this here. And that's sellers going, ha! All right? Like, that's like everyone on 3, pull as hard as you can. One last breath, right? You know what I'm talking about from tug-of-war, where everyone's like, all right, dig in, we're about to lose, we got to go. And everyone pulls as hard as they can and makes a bunch of the people on the buyer side fall over, right?
Yeah.
So now they pulled the line back on their side, but they're all dead-ass tired.
Yeah.
So if the buyers just give up, we're going to win and we're going to pull this and keep pulling over.
Yeah.
But we're weak now. We're exhausted. So if the buyers want to come back in, they have to do it immediately, right? Because if they don't get right back up immediately after they just fell down and start pulling again, then it's over. It's easy. But these buyers are like, okay, they kind of start to get up and they kind of hold the line. And then sellers are like pulling and kind of tugging. And you've got the buyers are all standing back up now. And boom. And then all the sellers go across the line. Game over. Okay? And that's what just happened. Tug of war. Sellers completely lost here. All right.
So the breakout line is the tug-of-war line.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much. So right here, this breakout is the tug-of-war line.
No.
So buyers won that round. They won the battle. And now it would take a miracle. It would basically take a whole new team of sellers, if you want to put it that way, a whole new team on that side of the line to come back in and just pull out of nowhere, right? Like it's basically impossible. So it could happen. The markets are never 100% certain. Pretty unlikely it happens. Now, of course, we're seeing some turmoil up here as people are taking profits and whatnot. We're still at a major resistance over here. But as with AVAX, okay, yes, we can see that high volume come in, but as long as we maintain that tug-of-war line here, we're fine. And you can see we did, right? So this was that same tug-of-war line here on AVAX, that breakdown. We broke above it, and we basically just about retested it, right?
Yeah.
And that's where you would try to want to buy, and then it goes higher. So that's where people are waiting to buy, is on the retest.
Makes sense.
Somebody asked if you can trade without volume and be successful. Yeah, I'm sure. I use volume every day. It's one of my biggest, most useful tools. For price action, you're going to want to use volume if you're a price action trader. I mean, all we've done today, we haven't used any indicators or anything. We've just looked at price action and volume. That's all we've done. So obviously indicators help, yada yada, but I prefer to kind of keep it simple. Clean up the charts. I don't need too many things to look at. And I just look at momentum.
I feel like trading without volume would be like driving without arms. It's possible, but it's a lot more difficult.
You got to use like your knee. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a good analogy. I think volume is the utmost importance because like on that link trade, if you don't have volume, you don't know exactly. Like these are a picture, but you don't have a story with it. You don't have a description with it. So when you add this is the description of how it worked. Not only that, you can actually, so I do have like kind of like a strategy called candle dissection, which is where you actually dissect the volume within a candle. But that's for another video, another time. But it's actually going in and looking at what the volume was in the candle and not just what it is here. So on lower time frames, how does that actually look? And how did that volume play out?
I am super lucky to be sitting next to him.
He usually sits on my lap, but not for videos.
not these videos.
I'm like, so I just take his hand. I'm like, okay, this is how you buy and sell. Yep, good technique.
All right. It's actually quite romantic.
Okay, so another thing you can use volume for is divergences. All right, so decreasing volume would be. Let me just draw it out. It's probably a bit easiest just to draw it out. So in the previous episodes, if you've been following along, we have talked about bearish divergence and bullish divergence. All right. So if you have price going up and your volume is going down, okay, that is a bearish divergence and you would expect a pullback. And now vice versa, if you have price going down and volume is increasing, that's going to be a bullish divergence. All right. Obviously, there's more to it, but that's the gist of it. I can probably just pull this up real quick on it, Google, for you guys to be able to see it better, because my drawings were kind of weak. Let's see here. I'm looking for a good picture example on Google. This one's okay. This one, no. Volume divergence. Do 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 do. I feel like this one's probably our best bet.
Yeah.
Okay. Bam. So, volume. Increasing volume with price increasing usually continues to be bullish. Divergence. Here you go. Here's our divergence. So that was not divergence. That was convergence, which is when volume moves in the same direction as price. Bam. But here is actually divergence. So you see price dropping, volume increasing, price increasing, volume dropping. And now it doesn't mean it's going to happen right away. So you need to know the signs to look for and things. And we'll kind of talk about that here in a second. So, somebody asked if volume is good for CRV. Does that volume look good to you? Look at that. Highest volume on the chart right now.
Yeah.
So, looks great. So, my other point is, let's go, I don't know if I want to use CRV for this example. Let's try Bitcoin for now. So on Bitcoin, you can see here we have this really high volume breakdown, right? So this is a pretty important part. Pretty important spot, I should say. So if we just follow the same rules that we followed earlier, we are going to see that we actually broke, we retested this and pushed. We actually broke back down on higher volume below this line. So this week is going to be a pretty big week, right? Because we're going to want to see can buyers reclaim this? And if buyers reclaim this, what's going to happen? That tug-of-war is going to be won by buyers, and they're going to be strong, right?
Yeah.
If sellers reclaim, they get us back into this sketchy area where we kind of get nervous. And if we get back below this big breakdown again, and this big breakdown, this big volume area, then we're going to probably see a big drop, right? Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, that'd be like crash level.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty straightforward, though, from a volume perspective, is this is the biggest area of interest right now on the chart because it's the biggest volume. So another thing I wanted to point out, and this works a lot on lower time frames, is that usually your highest volume is at the top or the bottom. So just here on a 2-hour chart, where's the bottom at on this chart?
Yeah, pretty obviously.
Right here, right?
Gigantic volume.
Now, obviously, this was panic selling, but we'll get away from there, and then we just had a bunch of choppy consolidation. But where was the bottom? Right here at the highest volume point.
Yeah.
All right? So where's the top been so far? Well, this was obviously a breakout. Okay, if you see this here. So remove this. So remember that push-pull thing. All right. So this was a high volume breakout. All right. That's good confirmation that we likely continue higher.
Yeah.
Now, we have actually some bearish divergence on volume. Right? Like volume is dropping, price is going up.
Yeah.
So this bearish divergence on volume, but then what do we have? We have a very high volume at the top. See that? Now, this is where everyone FOMOs before we drop. Now, it doesn't mean we'll drop far, but this is a very high volume candle, no follow through. It's not a breakout, okay, because this is at resistance. So when you have high volume into a resistance, you're not breaking the resistance, so you actually get concerned that that's just people panic buying, FOMO buying into a resistance. So you just have a lot of people FOMOing into there, price drops. So that's how I read that. Whoops, sorry. All right. Yeah, do you have any questions about that?
Nope.
Okay. Let me see if there's any more questions here. Nope, not really. So, yeah, I mean, so that would be a bearish divergence. And then, so people are, getting bearish on the volume maybe because of the divergence. And then they see this high volume pop and they're like, oh, never mind, I was wrong. But really, that just scares people out. It liquidates people that were in shorts, whatever. It's a very fast move. Makes people FOMO, makes people panic close their shorts, and then it fizzles out and it starts to drop. So on low time frames especially, you're going to notice that the high volume is going to be at the top most of the times or the bottom.
Maybe you could go over, like, if you were looking at finding the bottom.
So that's the thing is I actually don't like to find and call bottoms or tops.
Okay.
Sometimes on low time frames I'll try to trade them, but actually I like to wait for the bottoms to confirm. So
Okay.
So somebody asked how to draw resistance so easily, like I just did. Well, I've drawn this for days, so I already knew where it was at. But also, go to my YouTube after this video and watch the rest of this series, which I might as well just show it to you guys here. And I always do this here because you never know if I got some weird shit to show. I don't need to dox myself by searching in those. Okay, so your channel. Come on. All right. So we are live right now. Woohoo! All right. This is the whole series, you guys, so far. There will be more. We do about 2 videos a month now. The fundamentals, which we talk about candlesticks, candle bodies, blah, blah, blah. This is how to draw supports and resistances. So make sure you watch this. Understanding chart patterns, head and shoulders, bull flags, yada, yada. Managing your emotions, super important. Trading for beginners, part 5 live stream was basically just a question and answer last time with John. We kind of reviewed some of these points and we built on some of them, and everyone in the chat got to ask questions. John asked a lot of questions. So it's just a good learning session. So, but yeah, a lot of these questions are great, but again, they're in my previous videos, so I want to focus on volume for this video. So really, we're not confirmed that this is the bottom until we break above here. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to be ultimate bottom. I just say it's a bottom before we move up higher to the next resistance, and this is the next resistance. So we broke above that on high volume. We retested it, and that's kind of like my signal. If I wasn't already in a long, I would have longed that. Now, I actually longed down here, just without full confirmation. But again, we had this high volume breakout above my EMAs. Okay, see that increasing volume? A little increasing volume there. And we got above the bottom of this candle. Okay, so that was a big point to get above. We got above there, and we broke above the EMAs, so I was just buying in this consolidation with a wide stop loss, expecting us to go up higher. Again, it wasn't a full-size position, and it was very low account risk. So I took a chance there. If I wanted to add to my position, I probably would have waited to here to get into a larger position. Because this, for me, confirmed at least a short-term bottom, and it was likely that price would continue to go up for a little bit after that. Just for the fact that that push-pull thing I explained gets us there. So as far as this now, also looking for like lower highs and higher lows and things like that. We might be working on our first lower high here. And when price is in an uptrend, you know, you're going to see like this, okay? Higher high, lower or higher low, higher high, higher low. That's an uptrend. Yeah. Well, then when you have your first lower low and lower high, you start a downtrend. That's how it works, right? So we could be working on that now and start pulling back just a little bit here. But again, we have this like crazy price action here, and we have it again here. This like kind of ridiculous price action that causes a lot of people to panic sell here, FOMO buy here, and then we drop on them. Just like here, a lot of people panic, FOMO bought, panic sold, and then we go back up. So people get really choppy and let the volume come in before I'll start getting in. So if I'm a trader, and if you guys aren't traders, that's fine. Take your time. But if I'm a trader, I don't see any volume in here, so I'm not trading this. I'm trading here after this volume comes in, and that's exactly what I did. I finally saw this volume, and I said, okay, finally people are getting involved now. Traders are getting involved. And people like me are going to come in and be like, all right, what's the next move? I need to get in now because volume's coming in. So, and that's when, you know, I started trying to get into a long position.
Sure.
R. Kim, thanks. Appreciate you. I'm glad you enjoy it. Somebody said I really need to watch every single content. Yes, you do. Definitely should. So that's the great thing about my YouTube, you guys, is I have content for everyone. So if you're not new to trading, and this is kind of basic for you, that's fine. I have a ton of stuff here, you guys. I have my breakfast trades, which is kind of for everyone. I also have my leverage trading series, which is much more in depth. It's for trading with leverage and things like that, and managing your risk. All right, when to long or short. How do you stop losses? Taking profits. All right, this is the video I referred to earlier, telling somebody how to, you know, understand how to trail a stop loss or how to ladder out of position, and make sure that you make profitable trades out of positions that are in profit and not always getting, you know, stopped back out of these positions. Highly recommend watching this series as well. Obviously, this is the beginner series, and we're going to keep building on it. So a little bit of things for everyone. And then these are just educational videos, educational technical analysis. You're going to get a little bit of everything. All right. I'm going to share with you what I see. You're going to learn bits and pieces of these videos as I talk about them in the actual videos. So even if these are outdated from a price action standpoint, these still have a lot of educational material in them. If you even just want to turn them on while you're, you know, doing dishes or something and just listen to them. So all my videos jam-packed with education. That is the whole point. I don't want to just make videos of content that's just, you know, not valuable. You just watch it and you don't learn anything. I want you guys to learn something from all my videos. So that's a goal. Let's see. You're watching beginner's trading course and thinking about leverage. Not going to make it. Making my way through every video of yours past halfway. Good. I'm glad you made it through. I appreciate that. Don't trade low volume. Yes, there is strategies to trading low volume. You can be accumulating in the consolidation, right? But I like to trade when there's volume because I like to see my trades work out quickly. So I'm a little impatient. That was the Walmart Litecoin hoax. I ignored that volume for that reason. Yes, Litecoin had some Walmart hoax crap, but it was a very good catalyst to inject volume and get people to panic sell here and for price to go higher. So yeah, it was kind of bogus that I didn't trade it, but I used it because it was a good signal. Is OBV too off topic today? No, OBV is actually a good topic because OBV follows volume. All right. So, and we've talked about this before. I've made videos about this before. But you see here, look at what our volume's doing. All right, our volume's going up. What's our price doing? Price is going down. That is a bullish divergence. Okay? Volume going up. This is telling me that buyers are taking notice here. And now what do you see here is we have volume going down while price was kind of going up, staying the same. So that was a bearish divergence. All right? So we went from bullish divergence to bearish divergence. Trying to think. CRV. All right? I think the week. That's a 1 hour. Let me go up higher. CRV, look at this big breakout of consolidation on OBV. Look at the 4 hour OBV going crazy.
Yikes.
Right? So price broke down a lot here, but OBV didn't really move at all. So it was just low volume panic selling. And as soon as all those panic sellers gave up, buyers were like, sweet, cheap prices, and they pushed it up. All right? And you can see here that where I had a better chart. I think it was on the weekly. Well, you had to have a bullish divergence here because volume's going up, price was going down, right? Like this. So a little bit of a bullish divergence there. I thought maybe it was a different chart. I thought we had a really good bullish divergence on one of these charts for CRV. But anyway, Matic. Here we go. Here's a really good one, you guys. For Matic, Tetherus. That's a weird word. All right. So let's go to the weekly here. And just take a look here. Look at this price basically going down, staying sideways, however you want to draw this. All right, price was pretty much just going sideways for 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years. All right, what was OBV doing from about here?
Going right up.
Look at that. That was a massive divergence, and look what that led to.
Yeah.
So this is basically like the dam, like it's like a dam, right? Like blocking water, and you've just got more and more water pushing against that. And the longer that water pushes against that dam, the bigger the breakout, like the bigger that water is just going to blast through there, right? Like the stronger it's going to blast through there.
Yeah.
So if this only happened for like here, we would have gotten a little reaction if it broke up right then. But it took 2 years of pressure and pushing from buyers to break up. And once that happens, it's going to be a huge explosion. All right. So you can see how that bullish divergence played out here. OBV was pushing up, showing accumulation basically, and showing buyers from 2019. From here, buyers were showing strength the whole time. No matter how much price would push down, yada yada, buyers kept showing strength. Not only that, our other part of our lesson is look at this breakdown here. High volume breakdown, high volume breakdown. Okay? So we got above there once, broke back below. Okay? So that was a fake out. But again, if you just take these opportunities, if you're trading, you take this trade, you put a stop loss, you get stopped out, you lose 5%, whatever. Well, if you break above again, you take the trade again, you make thousands of percent, right? So as traders, you just keep taking opportunities. So we reclaimed this once. It was a fake out. But we have this other area of interest too. So we really wouldn't want to feel good about it until we're above here, right? This would kind of be like, okay, we're in the clear a little bit. And this is like, all right, we're really in the clear. And look what happens after we finally break above this.
Yeah.
Straight moonshot for weeks, right? So that's how you can use OBV for divergences. Now, if at the top, if you saw, price continuing to go up here. So we've seen a lot of sideways. But anyway, so if price continues to go up here and you start to see OBV trending down for a while, you're going to get nervous, right? And you're like, all right, maybe I need to start taking some profit up here, whatever. For now, everything's just straight sideways. There's not really any divergence or anything yet on this. But obviously, mega huge bullish divergence here. So that was a huge sign to, be loading the bags. Not only that, but we had this kind of consolidation here. right? Like this is finally some consolidation from OBV. Maybe even like bullish consolidation, ascending channel. And this breaks out right here. And look where it breaks out at before price actually broke out. So that's a huge signal. OBV broke out finally. Price hadn't broken out yet. So basically, if you would have bought here on this breakout from OBV,
maximum profits.
That was the early sign that you got. Now, if you waited for that, you could obviously waited for more, price action confirmation. But that was the early sign from an OBV standpoint to give you an early signal, which is why I do like OBV sometimes, because it can actually tell you ahead of time. So, yeah. Really difficult to see the black cross cursor on the black background. It's white.
Yeah, definitely not black.
Maybe it doesn't show up very well in the videos. I apologize. I actually sometimes make it thicker somehow. But it's too late now. Next video, I'll try to make it a little bit thicker. Or less opaque or thick. Yeah, so I can make it thicker here. Whoops. But I think we're probably getting close to being done with the video because I feel like we've covered a lot. Do you have more questions about volume? There. What do you think?
I don't think so.
Pretty good?
Yeah.
Do you guys have any more questions? Can OBV be used instead of volume? Yeah, technically. I like to use them both. All right. But OBV kind of reads volume. So you can use them a little bit together, definitely.
Is there any circumstance where you would use OBV and volume together?
I do all the time.
Or like a specific example.
I mean, OBV is going to basically be I'm reading the volume, right?
Yeah.
OBV is basically
reading
it for you. It's basically putting it out into visual context.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, like the line's so much easier to look at than
right.
all the tiny little lines.
But I like to so at first, yeah, you would probably just use OBV. But then once you really start to get good with volume, you're going to want to see, okay, this is what my OBV looks like. Does that match my assessment of the volume? If it matches my assessment, I'm like, okay, this is my assessment. OBV confirms my assessment. Like, let's say, I'm trying to find something. ICP has mega bullish OBV. Look at this OBV. So, at some point, this is a huge bullish divergence. So, technically, instead of having a stop loss here, which I always recommend stop losses. I always use stop losses. But instead of using a stop loss here, technically, I could probably just start laddering and just slowly adding, right? Because at some point, like we saw with Matic, sellers will get tired. Now, whether it happens down here on a couple more drops or something and then just goes crazy, we don't know. But at some point, sellers are going to get tired here because buyers are showing strength for the last month now. All right. So,
what do you mean by laddering? Sorry.
Just slowly buying.
Okay.
If it just drops, I just keep slowly buying as OBV keeps going up or whatever.
Okay.
So rather than buying filling my position at a certain level and then putting a stop loss below.
Okay.
So, but look at this divergence. We have OBV going up really strong, and we have price going down or staying sideways.
Yeah.
So that is a big divergence. At some point, price will catch up with volume. All right. So we just don't know when. Was I answering another question before that? Or was that the question? I can't remember.
The question was using volume in conjunction with OBV.
So here's one, kind of. I mean, let's say this is a high volume breakdown, right? Mm-hmm. So first off, my initial assessment is going to be, all right, well, we need to reclaim this, right? Because that's the breakdown point. Mm-hmm. So we need to get above there first off.
Yeah.
Secondly, if we get above here, we're probably going to mega moon, right?
Yeah.
Like Matic, like CRV, etc. If we get above here, people FOMO back in, okay? So that's the first level. That's the main level to get above. But for OBV standpoint, I'm like, oh, that's a high volume sell-off. That's bearish. Yep, bye. We're done. Yeah. We're going to drop way deep, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at OBV, look at that. It didn't do anything to it.
Yeah.
If OBV would have tanked down here, you'd be like, damn, that was a bit, like,
Yeah.
it's nothing.
Yeah.
So that's telling me that didn't really show me much sellers. Sellers weren't very strong.
Yeah.
And we're almost back above that like we're back above already that level of where we got to from that selling, right? Like it wasn't much of a breakdown. And not only that, it didn't even break down at all. It just put us to retest this support, right? Because this is now, we broke out of here. This is a support level somewhere.
Right.
So all it did is we just retested the support, and we're still technically bullish on OBV. So our buying volume is still bullish. There's still a lot of buyers here. We just need the follow through, right? So we're getting close, but again, you don't know when it's going to happen. Chart patterns like ascending wedges can be applied to OBV. Yeah, you could do double tops. You can do inverse head and shoulders. I mean, look at this Bitcoin monthly chart. And I pointed this out way before it happened. Look at that. There's a inverse head and shoulders on the Bitcoin monthly chart. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Guess where this was at? Right there. Look at that. It's amazing. All right. Look at where this was at. Right here at the bottom. All right. And we had another one. Bam.
Yeah.
Right here. Where was that at? Bam. Right at the bottom. Okay. So we had two inverse head and shoulders. This is kind of a head and shoulders. So if you just traded as an investor on monthly OBV head and shoulders, you'd be freaking killing it. Look, you buy here, you get sold here after 6,000%. I don't know why this is on there. This is old. Get rid of that. And then you would have bought back here, right? And then maybe you don't sell yet because you don't have any head and shoulders. But anyway, 1,000% again. All right?
Seems kind of good.
So, yeah, head and shoulders, baby. Inverse head and shoulders, head and shoulders. Bull flags, bull pennants, whatever you want. They work on all indicators. So, technically, look what we got here. It's not super clean, but something like this maybe. Or maybe a decent, or here we could, there's like a few different ways you could actually view this. Okay, so like a channel maybe. Just trying to get these involved. So in OBVs, the lines are never going to be quite as perfect usually as price action. But maybe something like this is a channel and we broke out. So I don't know. Maybe we retest it. Who knows? But there's definitely a clear downtrend line here. Like this is pretty clear.
Yeah.
So inverse head and shoulders, breakout, bam. But even you could just go from this area here. So this is still like a bull pennant. It's a bull pennant. So then, you could take your targets, same as you would with price, and then bam. So you'd be looking at higher at some point. I really enjoyed this stream. Thank you. Yes, don't miss the next one. We'll probably do it in a couple weeks. But again, they're all available for replay on YouTube. Must wait for head and shoulder confirmation. So cannot sell or buy so cheap. Yeah, you can wait for your confirmations for sure because they can fake you out. Here you literally have the breakdown and then a retest. Like that is clean as day. You have a head and shoulders breakdown and a retest, and then it drops lower. And then here you have a head and shoulders breakout and retest, and it goes higher. So, but yeah, you guys, I think we're good. It's about an hour. So I thank you all for joining. Obviously, feel free to ask questions on Twitter or whatnot. But this video will be available for replay if you did not catch the whole thing. I'll get it posted later this evening or tomorrow morning. And, you can always check me on Twitter. Or if you want more in-depth content, you can visit elevate-trading.com. That's where I post way more in-depth content. And I share my trades and stuff in there. So anyway, thanks again for joining you guys and have a great day.
Thanks, guys.
Peace. Where I post way more in-depth content and I share my trades and stuff in there. So anyway, thanks again for joining you guys, and have a great day.
Thanks, guys.
Peace. Where I post way more in-depth